All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to How I Got Here. We are talking about stories of ordinary people taking steps to unlocking their dreams for your inspiration. So stick to the end. We've got some free goodies. I'm Kelsy Gibbs, your host with Kimberly Neidhart, and I'm just so excited to interview her on how I got here. Just to give you a little glimpse of Kimberly before we start. Kimberly is a wellness warrior and freedom coach, fully committed to calling out the lies of culture and inspiring wholeness of mind, body, and spirit. Through her own journey out of bondage, she has experienced transformational healing and is now desiring to guide women out of what's holding them back and into a free and purposeful life. She is also a self-proclaimed domestic warrior, passionate about creating a home that heals and inspires freedom in her children and all else who enter. She believes that we battle from rest. So in her downtime, you'll find her checking off her joy therapy list with the bubbliest of baths, a comforting family dinner, snuggle time with her man, and pretending to be a homesteader. I love that. That's something I would like to talk about another time. I'm a homesteader wannabe, but not as far along as you are.
Yeah.
But Kimberly, I did want to just kind of start out just by asking you, what would you say was the biggest paradigm shift that happened in your life that brought you to this point where you're planning a trip to Thailand?
Yeah. So I would say that that moment really started decades ago when I was about 12 to 14 years old, around there. I had a heart for Jesus. I really didn't grow up knowing anything different other than church and just knowing the Lord and knowing about Him, and really felt a call to missions during a specific missions conference. I mean, imagine a little girl just soaking in the sights and the sounds and the words that a speaker is saying as he's presenting these impactful images of faces and places and the beaches of Thailand. And obviously, many other countries were represented in that conference, but that one specifically stood out to me. And I never really knew why until many years later. But with that passion in my heart, and even going so far as to going forward at the end of the service and just saying, I want to be a missionary, I really feel called. Um, and and putting that out there in public, like speaking it out and having it spoken over me, and just kind of went on with life. Turned 18 and I had planned my senior trip to go to Thailand. I was learning some of the language, which is super duper hard. It's one of the hardest ones. In fact, I probably should dust off those books or get an app or something to help me learn some of those simple words for my trip. But just the idea of wanting to go over there and experience a foreign mission field, traveling internationally, all of that. I was in contact with a missionary, and it just didn't pan out. And when I think about why, I really don't have an answer. My parents wanted me to go to college, and so I was looking into nursing, and I ended up just starting school. And I knew, oh, okay, I could probably use nursing on the mission field. Well, no, one semester in, I got married, and I did not continue school, and I did not end up on the mission field. And so,
That kind of changed a whole little another
yeah,
trajectory for you.
it did. Got married, and we ended up having kids right away, and I'm really grateful for that. Got married young. I was 19. Um, and so I'm grateful for that, but I always wondered, like, did I hear God right? Was that actually something I was supposed to do? Am I still walking within His will? Because I didn't go to the mission field. I still had a heart for missions. So fast forward now, probably 7 years ago, I am attending a training. Imagine me, all grown up, um, and working through a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, a lot of things. I mean, life goes on, and we all, living in this fallen world, we all experience a lot of hurt. If you're human, you hurt. And sadly, that's just the state of our world. But because we have Jesus, we have hope. And so I had lost that hope, and I had really been struggling in my faith. I had grown up in a very high performance religion. And so, coming into this place where I had 5 kids now, I was struggling with depression and just hopelessness, not being able to perform because I had my thyroid was acting up, and we were having some of my kids were experiencing severe trauma, and there was all of these things came to light. So I'm in the middle of all this, and God brings me a program as I'm doing research. I had found a lot of healing in movement of my body and through dance. And I had joined a club, a women's only dance fitness studio, where we got to do all these super fun dances and Zumba and like all this fun stuff. And it was really helping me with the depression, but my body was not handling the stress well. And I was using exercise to medicate my hurt. And it became an addiction. It became something I was doing. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't fueling my body to be able to sustain that kind of activity. And my thyroid started acting up, my adrenals. I ended up just not being able to get out of bed, not being able to make dinner, all this stuff. Just felt like because I thought I was supposed to perform and I had to do in order to be accepted and in order to be loved. And if I can't do, then who am I? And so as I'm researching in bed one day, there has to be a way to connect God and fitness. He made my body, he made my body to move, and it's good for me. So why is he not letting me do this fitness that I love so much? And I found Revelation Wellness, which is a faith-based fitness program. And they have trainings where they will work with you for, I believe it's 12 weeks. And then at the end of the 12 weeks of like Tuesday and Thursday classes, like it's an intensive program, you go to a 5-day retreat. I think actually now they don't have the in-person retreat since COVID, but I got to go to the retreat that was in person in Arizona, and it was transformational, life-changing in a time when I felt isolated from my community. Even though I was at church every Sunday, I felt isolated and alone. And I was able to come into this space of connecting faith and fitness and feel like I was seen and loved by people who loved Jesus, and they were loving on me really, really well. So I found a ton of healing in that program and became certified as a trainer. And it's still a huge part of my life. And so what was so pivotal at that point in my life was that call to missions. And on one of the nights at this in-person retreat with Revelation Wellness, a speaker got up, and her name is Nadia, and she started to share how she was using Revelation Wellness and the healing that comes from getting into your body, knowing your body, moving your body, the healing that comes from that when you've experienced trauma, especially sexual trauma, sexual abuse, domestic violence, any of those kinds of things. And how she was using it in the anti-trafficking realm to minister to women who are coming out of that lifestyle and to help bring healing to them. And I was so moved by her story and by what God was doing with that. And it hit me in that moment. I never lost the call. I knew that I was supposed to be a missionary, which really we all are. We're called to make disciples. We're called to speak Jesus over people and to bring him to those dark places. And what I remembered coming into my mind was this vision of the faces of the women and children in that Thailand presentation years ago. And so this visual, I can't like even the face, I can remember the picture, and I could see their face that night at this retreat. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is God using these different things in my life to kind of fine tune where I'm supposed to go with this call. And so now, having gone through a lot in our family and in my own healing, coming out of, like I said, that high performance religion, it was truly religious bondage, and everything that came along with that, from feeling oppressed by purity culture and some of the lies that came from that, as well as just lies about how my marriage is supposed to be or how I'm supposed to behave as a woman, because of what I was told growing up through this culture of performance and really an imbalance within faith and what God says about me as a woman. It was being tainted. It was being taken out of context and used for the wrong purposes. And so now coming into truth and freedom in those areas, God has used Revelation Wellness, He's used counseling, and He has used a ton of different programs along the way and people speaking life into me, Kelsy being one of those, and so many more that I am now able to say, I am alive and I am free. And I am so excited to head to Thailand and share this message of hope and healing through Jesus with the girls who are working in the bars and the brothels in Pattaya, Thailand. And because of how God has helped me to process my story, I know that I can stand there and I can love the one in front of me as well as I can because Jesus is in me and He's loving through me. And so I'm just really excited for the opportunity to go. We're going to be serving at the Tamar Center, which is a community center in Pattaya that serves the girls and gives them opportunity to find a different uh, calling, a different job, because right now the way they make money is by selling themselves sexually. And so giving them hope for something better, a career, something that gives them a bigger purpose. And they do that through their bakery and through their salon, Christmas cards. They make a lot of greeting cards as well. And so the girls learn these skills and are able to use them and make a living to support their families. And so we'll be there for 2 weeks, serving with a team of 8 or 9 and getting to join the Tamar Center in the work that they're doing there.
And can you kind of just maybe elaborate, like, because I earlier when you and I talked, you had mentioned how they got into that lifestyle, which I
Oh
found
yeah.
very interesting. So I would
Yeah.
love for you to share more.
Nobody wakes up one morning and decides this would be a great way to make money, like selling myself sexually. That's not something we desire. God designed it for so much more, and for it to be such a more beautiful experience to have relationship and marriage and just healthy sexuality and relationships. And so often you have poverty is a huge driver when it comes to trafficking. And so in Thailand, near Pattaya, the surrounding villages there are very poor, um, very poverty, huge levels of poverty over there. And what I did not understand going into this, until I had talked with some of the other team members, is that culturally in Thailand, the girls are responsible for financially caring for the parents in their elderly years. And so the parents will be very excited to have a girl because they know they're going to be well taken care of. Well, one way that these girls who are growing up in poverty can provide for the family is by going into the big city of Pattaya and getting a job and making a life for themselves there, hopefully finding a husband. That's how they think of Pattaya. That's how they perceive it to be, that it's going to be the answer to their problems. It's going to help their poverty, and they go in to the village and or into Pattaya, and they realize it's not the case. They get a job somewhere and they end up obviously in a situation they did not expect or want. Oftentimes the bar owners, every bar there is a brothel, and the bar owners will go to the villages and present it as, oh, we have a job for you. You're going to be serving drinks and just, entertaining customers. And that's how they present it to them. Sounds like a great idea, sounds like our problems are over. And they bring them in and they require them to dress in horrible ways that they're not comfortable with. It's a very modest culture. And so their modesty is stripped from them. They are exposed and exploited. And so, yeah, it's really poverty that drives that. And even to the point of a lot of the families will raise their boys as girls and send their sons into homosexual lifestyles. They're called lady boys, and they will send them in to Pattaya to make money doing the same things that the girls do. because sadly there's a demand for that as well. And they have different streets, a walking street is what they call it, for those different, whatever your desire is sexually, you can find it there. It's been known to be called Vegas on meth. It's pretty bad. And so partnering with prayer is huge. That's the biggest thing, because this is a very spiritually heavy trip. And these girls, they truly have no hope. They're stuck in situations that they were just trying to get out of poverty and just trying to survive and support their families. Often they are not choosing that life at all.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for like sharing that, because I feel like a lot of times it feels like that stuff is out there.
Yeah.
But and you are
Yeah.
going out there. So yeah, definitely prayers for you on that journey. And obviously for the people in that area, in Pattaya. So can you I know that there's some different things that people can do to kind of get involved. Prayer is one of them. Can you kind of tell us like how people can come and help support you specifically?
Yeah. So for me specifically, I'm just a very small part of this team that has been going for several years. I'm pretty sure it's been more than 5 years, but I'm not sure exactly how many years. It's my first time with this team. Um, I've got big picture prayers that I'm praying over this, but for now I'm going to observe and to be a part of what they're doing there. And so for me, just that prayerful support of safety and wisdom in conversations, spiritual guard over my heart and mind as we're stepping into some very dark places, and being able to stand in the midst of that darkness and to be surrounded with the sights and sounds of that come along with it, and to be able to look one on one into those girls' faces and just love the one in front of me and be able to focus on that. That's my biggest prayer. But we financially, obviously, the biggest cost is really the airfare, because it's pretty affordable to go over there. Um, these girls, I believe what I was told is that it's about between $6 to $10 for you to purchase a girl for the night. That is all that they consider them of our money, six to 10 American dollars for you to purchase a girl for the night. And that, you know, that is just heartbreaking. We know there was so much more than that. You can't put a price tag on a human in general. But all that to say, the trip is about $3,000. Anything that comes in above and beyond that, or anything I have in excess after coming home, will be donated to the Tamar Center to further support the work they're doing. And so to support me financially, I have a GoFundMe page. They do take a percentage with that, but you'll find my story there you can read through. And then also through Venmo or PayPal, you can connect and support financially through that as well. And you can even go to the Tamar Center. We can post a link or something to purchase like your Christmas cards for the year. And you can support them by purchasing cards that the girls have made, and that goes straight to what they're doing there to help those girls find a new life.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. That's super awesome. Yeah, there's so many different ways to get involved. And I know that we have some goodies as well. People are stuck to the end.
Yes.
Um, and well, first, actually, we should kind of, because your background is you're a coach, right? Is that
Yeah.
I got that correct?
Yeah.
So can you kind of elaborate on that real quick for us? Just kind of.
Yeah. So my training is in fitness, but when we go through the Revelation Wellness training, it is bigger than that by far. It is very much about becoming whole, body, soul, and spirit. It's a holistic approach to a person, looking first at their view of God. Who do you know God to be? And then also looking at where do you feel stuck? Are you experiencing freedom? And often those stories, our pain and our hurt and our stories, get stuck inside of our bodies, unless we are speaking them out. And that pain and hurt gets us it creates a lot of physical issues. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, a lot of our physical ailments and achiness, and even my thyroid issue, when I started to process that in the presence of a counselor and work through some of those things, it was truly a an emotional stress that triggered the thyroid problems. And I had to get on medication for a while and was able to come off of that. And that's not everyone's story. And that's not the way it has to be. But often we find that there are physical manifestations of those stories being stuck inside. And so really working with a person holistically to be able to help them to know God for who he truly is, to know how he sees them, and to find freedom within the areas that they're struggling, any areas they feel that there's bondage or they're just numb or stuck, or just that stuck feeling. No one likes to feel stuck. It feels hopeless. You feel trapped. Depression, anxiety come in. You just feel this claustrophobic feel, and you want to live free and alive and open and ready to receive what God has and to be able to give and love others. But you can't do that until you have worked on the things that are stuck in you, so you can open your hands and love bigger and better. And so my training includes things like nutrition. I'm not licensed in any of these things, but I have had experience and training for myself. And so I'm simply sharing what I have learned as a, quote unquote life coach, is someone who has done life. And I could not say that 10 years ago that I had experienced life. I felt like I had, and I really hadn't. Like in the last 10 years, God has brought everything from parenting struggles to marriage struggles to family members who have experienced sexual abuse and having to walk through that with them, and just bringing in a child from through adoption, and doing some understanding of like foster care and all of that. It's just the time constrains us from going on about how God has brought different things, little snapshots of little experiences in my life that I truly feel like I can sit with someone and walk them through some of the solutions and the healing of that. And often it's just having someone to listen. My first counseling appointment was truly just needing someone to hear me and to talk through things because I felt so isolated. And so if I can offer that to somebody else, that is my goal. I love sitting with people and hearing their stories and helping them find freedom in through the sharing of that story. And so all of the funds that are raised through that, through my coaching, I call it freedom coaching, those will go straight to my trip and to the Tamar Center and any further trainings that I have coming up to expound on my freedom training or my freedom coaching. I think we talked about this. I don't know if you were going to mention it, but just how you can get involved. One more way you can get involved, obviously prayer and just financial giving, but we'd like to offer something for you as you find healing. You can help girls that you haven't even met yet to find healing. Healed people can heal people, just like hurt people can hurt people. As you work on your healing, you can help heal people, and you can free people, also free people. And so as we do the work, we can then pass on what we have learned. And so for a donation of $30 or more to the Thailand trip, I would love to offer you the first session of just the intro session of just, is this for me? Is this freedom coaching something I want to try? And just kind of get to know you and hear a little bit of your story and decide if it's something you want to step into.
I love that. And if they're, because that, I mean, yeah, just like that's then impacting them, right? They're finding healing. They're
Yes.
funding something that's helping other people's healing. They're helping you. That's like helping. It's just
Yes. All while getting
everyone's
to
getting
do the
help in
fun
it.
part. Yes. All while getting to do the fun part of just working through your own healing and the joy that comes from that. I really do focus on the joy aspect. It should not feel, it's going to be hard, and there's going to be suffering. It's going to be difficult conversations and hard moments to work through in our healing journeys, but it should be joy filled. And I really focus on the fact that just existing, to just be, that should bring joy, to be in the presence of God, to just be his child. and be loved by him. It's so important when you're working through those hard things. And so for you to get to sit in that moment and just work on your joy therapy and work on getting to just be God's kid and be loved by him, you are benefiting others who will get to experience that same thing.
That's just beautiful. And if they're wanting to do, okay, so hang on, just to recap again.
Yeah.
Prayer, number one,
Yes.
ways to contribute. They can donate directly through Venmo, which is at Kimberly-Nyhart. They can PayPal, which is domesticwarriorshq@gmail.com, right?
Yes.
And then they have the GoFundMe. We'll put links in the description so that however it is. And if they're wanting to do the coaching and that donation end up going to that $30 or more donation go towards your trip / the Tamar Center, what is the best way to get in contact with you about that?
Yeah, so you can email that same address, the PayPal address there, the domesticwarriorshq@gmail.com. You can email me there. You can reach out through Instagram, domestic_warriors. And you can reach me there, also on Facebook, and just chat with me there about what you're looking at for yourself, where you feel stuck and what you're needing, where do you see that you need freedom? We call it a freedom check, just checking in and where do I feel stuck and what needs to loosen up? Where do I need to be shook up a little bit? So, and sometimes that means it's a lot of fun because you get to go take a walk or take a bubble bath. Sometimes it means you got to hear some hard words, and that's what coaches are for. They say the hard things. Kelsey's had to do that for me already. So yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, I mean, that pretty much concludes everything I wanted to cover. If you guys, again, if you have any questions, there's plenty of ways to reach out. We've already covered them thoroughly, I feel. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, week, month, year, life. See you soon.
Yes, thank you, Kelsey, for the opportunity to share my story and just with your listeners and just to get to know you more too. It's been a blessing.
Aw. Well, and I'm excited to see. And also you're gonna be, I should have thought about this. Will you be updating people? Or is there gonna be like a newsletter or Facebook post? I know I'm just kind of throwing this at you.
Yeah. So my goal is to update through email. If you subscribe to I will be updating on Instagram and Facebook for sure. And that's where you can follow all of it. And of course, pictures and things from the trip that I will be taking, all of that. And then try to do a follow-up letter just to all the sponsors and supporters and just thanking them and letting them know how the trip went and what their next steps might be going forward.
Love it.
Yes.
Thanks again, lady. You're amazing. I'm excited to see what
Thank you
happens.
so much. Thank you.